On the dry, cracked plains of southern Africa, when the earth has just stopped absorbing moisture and the fresh grass begins to sprout through the fine dust, the African wild dogs begin to move. They are not there to claim territory, but to maintain the balance between growth and depletion. Lycaon, with its tall, lean body and fur splashed with chaotic patches, moves in a tight-knit pack. They do not rely on a single leader. Each step taken is a link in a precisely orchestrated hunting formation, from choosing the wind's direction, finding the open ground with little shade, to calculating the distance between each member. At the start of the dry season, the lowlands spread out into fine dust. The young grass is not yet tall enough to provide cover, but it is green enough to pull herds of impalas away from the low shrubs. They step into the open, scattering into smaller groups. Each group maintains an even distance, avoiding overcrowding in the newly sprouting vegetation. The Lycaon pack keeps to the outer positions, avoiding casting shadows. They move parallel to the edge of the Mopan forest, blending their bodies into the mottled earth. There is no need for stealth or ambush. Just slow steps, divided into 3 directions: leading, flanking, and trapping. The nearest impala group begins to shift away from the center. A gap forms between the 2 groups. The Lycaon pack adjusts into a widening arc. The individuals on the left move slowly forward, just enough for the impalas to sense the faint movement. The group on the right tightens in, slowly closing the gap. In the still, windless air, the pressure of movement begins to mount. The impalas change direction, but each way leads to an obstacle. They spread further apart, inadvertently creating more openings for the Lycaon pack to close in. Among them, one young individual veers off toward the sloping earth. On the left, the Lycaon pack presses lightly against the ground, blocking the escape path. Ahead, 2 individuals cross each other's path, cutting off a turning route. The impala loses its momentum and stumbles, collapsing in the low depression. The Lycaon pack doesn't rush. One individual approaches quickly, nipping at the neck. 2 others close in, taking their positions. There are no violent collisions, no blood splatters. The body is held firmly in place, the bite doesn't tear apart. The meat is neatly removed from the softest parts. Bones are broken at the joints, leaving no long fractures. After a few moments, the Lycaon pack retreats. Allowing the next tier of scavengers to move in. Birds of prey descend from above in spaced intervals. Insects move into the crevices of the skeletal remains. The scent of blood spreads, but it doesn't linger. Impalas reproduce rapidly and live concentrated in the lower vegetation. When their population density exceeds the limit, They graze down to the roots, leaving the ground bare. Shrubs crowd in, and sunlight can no longer reach the lower layers. Ground-dwelling birds are forced to abandon their nests. Many insect species disappear along with the old grass. The Lycaon pack doesn't choose its prey randomly. They leave the bright areas for other species by targeting only those impalas that can no longer keep up with the herd. After a hunt, the entire plain gets a chance to rest and recover. No need for destruction, no need for dominance, just the right timing. After a meal, the Lycaon pack makes no unnecessary noise. They drift off toward the backlight, retreating to shaded areas to rest. On the ground left behind, there are no deep hoof prints or scratches. Only a dark dust trail the start of a new life cycle in the ecosystem. The scavenger birds approach in layers. Above, vultures and kites circle. Below, maggots and beetles take their turn. The birds find a new concentration area and leave their marks close to their nests. Insects begin to burrow in the recently decomposed earth. The new grass sprouting around the area grows faster than elsewhere. Beneath the roots, natural fertilizer from the process of eating, defecating, and decomposing enriches the soil. After a few days, the area returns to being a grazing ground, but this time it's more resilient. Without the stable presence of hunters like the Lycaon pack, the grasslands would continue to grow uncontrollably with no natural checkpoints. The vegetation would deplete faster than it could regenerate, and the earth would gradually lose its structure. The Lycaon pack doesn't create life, but they ensure that the flow of movement is never disrupted. Each hunt leaves space for the grasslands to adjust on its own. It is this cycle that marks the boundary between a thriving zone in an ecosystem beginning to unravel, where every step touches a layer of life. The Lycaon pack is not just a hunter, but a cornerstone that preserves the primal order of the plains. The late autumn forest line retreats northward. Thick snow covers the ground tightly. Wind slides along the edges of low rocks. Tangled patches of lichen are exposed in windswept zones. Each broken branch bends, casting a slanted shadow on the ice slope. Every path bears the imprint of passing wind. Old tracks have vanished beneath the fresh layer. Gray wolves move along the compressed snow margin. Each individual keeps distance based on the terrain. The formation angles diagonally, pressing toward the low-lying basin. Wind pulls through the rock crevices, forming a narrow, cold corridor. Condensed vapor flows down through the cracked ice. Under sparse shrubs, a few grass clumps reveal their root base. Elk will pass through places like this. The large antlers appear first. A heavy body pushes snow outward on both sides. The newly packed snow compresses unevenly, forming a spongy surface. The elk herd follows, spaced apart in staggered steps. One individual drops back and veers away, avoiding direct wind. The left path leads to an older sunken trail. Wolves change direction. One group circles toward the basin edge. The other group tracks along the right ridge. The middle gap narrows. The separated elk continues without changing pace. Pressure from its steps breaks snow cohesion. Thin crusts fracture into long lines. A headwind bursts from the rock gap, cutting low across the slope. One slip twists the body sideways. The large frame spins off balance toward the basin. The snow surface fails to support its weight, twisting the neck. The wolves do not change speed. Their formation tightens, blocking 3 exit points. The elk loses its center of gravity. A final push drives the mass into the soft snow. It halts, unable to move further. There is no harsh impact. There is no struggle. The ice layer sinks in a fan-like pattern. Wolves spread their formation. Footprints line both outer edges. Wind cuts across, carrying the scent quickly toward exposed rocks. The remaining elk shift direction, retreating to the slope untouched by wind. The snow there remains intact. Wolf pressure creates a moving boundary. Elk do not follow one path indefinitely. When an old route becomes unsafe, the herd shifts to unmarked ground. Each new turn allows the land to recover. Grass avoids constant trampling. Lichen remains undisturbed. Moss retains moisture. The biological layer sustains its recovery cycle. In this climate, every regeneration cycle requires periods of rest. The more fixed the elk roots become, the more fragile the sublayer grows. Wolves slow down the pressure exerted by large herds. When the herd changes course regularly, plant patches have a chance to recover. The lower chain is not compressed under constant load. The alternating rhythm of hunting, retreating, and rerouting keeps pressure within limits. Gray wolves maintain movement across the entire life chain. No area bears overload. No patch stays pressed indefinitely. Each movement returns rest back to the soil. By late afternoon, the wind shifts. Snow begins to crack. The wolves turn toward the new wind and cross unmarked ice. The elk move against the slope, choosing a higher path. Old depressions fade under rising gusts. A faint howl echoes over the ridge. The hunt ends. The living cycle continues. The snow builds thick on the forest ground. The air is dry and a light breeze cuts through the sparse bushes. On the white covering, a small carnivore begins to leave faint tracks. The red fox. They appear in many temperate and subarctic regions. With a light body structure and thick fur, they are well adapted to keeping warm. Their upright ears and sharp hearing help them detect sounds. Their small paws allow them to move on the snow without leaving deep prints. Red foxes are solitary animals, mostly active at dawn or dusk, especially during food shortages. They specialize in hunting small rodents that live near the ground. As they move, the fox constantly sniffs the air. Their head is low, ears turn slightly to catch signals from under the snow. When they find prey, the fox stops, adjusts its position, and leaps forward. If successful, they bite into the weak spot and quickly end the prey's life. The carcass is then carried away, not consumed on the spot. The red fox usually buries its prey near its den. They dig a shallow hole, place the carcass inside, and cover it with dry leaves or fresh snow. Each hunt might result in several hidden prey spots scattered around the area. Not every carcass is used afterward. Hunting behavior exceeding consumption needs is more apparent when the environment is unstable. During extended freezing conditions or when food is scarce, the fox kills more to store for later. Some carcasses are consumed gradually. The rest decompose on the spot. The amount of stored prey increases when large predators are absent. In areas where lynxes or eagles are no longer present, foxes are freer to act. They aren't in competition for prey, don't need to retreat early, and can extend their hunting times. This results in frequent excessive killing, creating a scattered surplus of prey far beyond their actual needs. At the end of the snow season, ground birds begin nesting. They choose low ridges or areas where lichen has dried. Before the ice fully melts, the eggs don't have enough time to develop. Young birds are easily exposed. The red fox tracks their scent from afar, searching and destroying nests. Many nests fail to hatch. The number of birds steadily decreases during the seasonal transition. The consequences don't stop there. Ground birds disappear, leading to a loss of insect control. Plants lack the indirect seed dispersal process. Moss and lichen can't maintain a regular growth and decay cycle. Soil microorganisms no longer have a stable base to develop. All the bottom layer links are displaced from the original biological chain. Red foxes don't disrupt the system, but when there's no opposing force, their survival behavior becomes a threat. Cold ecosystems need behavior limits, not the elimination of species. The balance achieved is not through exclusion, but by maintaining relationships. Late in the afternoon, the wind shifts direction. Fresh snow begins to cover the tracks. An eagle's shadow glides low across the scattered tree branches. The fox retreats into the dark edge. stepping away from the freshly passed light. The ecosystem's temporary order maintains its boundaries. No species crosses over into another's territory. In the coldest season, the surface of the ground is frozen solid. The snow has been continuously covering for weeks without melting. Light reflects from all directions. There is no color that stands out from the white background. On the flat land, where there are no large trees, the Arctic fox appears, a small carnivore. It mainly lives around the Arctic edges. Its thick fur covers its body, a compact body shape, small ears and short legs. These features help reduce heat loss and keep the body functioning well in the low temperatures. The Arctic fox moves across the snow without leaving deep tracks. The force is evenly distributed, its steps short. When it stops, it slightly turns its head, its ears pointing in different directions to pick up sound signals. It doesn't hunt in packs. Each individual operates independently, usually along its own path. Its main prey consists of small rodents that live in the lower layers. These creatures create tunnels under the snow to search for food or shelter. The Arctic fox uses its hearing to detect movement beneath the snow. When the signal is clear, it adjusts its position, jumps up, and drops straight down. The fall has enough force to break through the compacted snow. Hunting doesn't happen continuously. The fox moves a lot, stopping for long periods, choosing the right spot before striking. When it catches its prey, it usually consumes it right there. Hunting based on sound helps control the seasonal surges of rodent populations. If the lemming population grows too quickly, they damage the plant roots near the surface. The roots get severed and the topsoil is easily eroded during thaw periods. The ice below is exposed earlier, disrupting the stable structure of the permafrost. The consequences spread to higher levels. When the frozen ground becomes unstable, moisture levels change. Low ground birds lose their nesting sites. The eggs don't have enough time to develop, and the young birds struggle to maintain their body temperature. The reproductive cycle is interrupted. Insects lose their breeding grounds, and the microbial layer on the ground has no means of sustaining itself. The Arctic fox doesn't create stability, but it is the force that keeps the chain from collapsing. When present in sufficient numbers, they maintain the rodent population limits. That limit protects the roots, shielding the topsoil. Each successful hunt is a link kept in place. On the snow, shallow tracks stretch downwards. The wind covers the path that has just been walked. There are no bloodstains, no carcasses left behind. But the layers beneath have changed. In the frozen ecosystem, no single species needs to dominate. As long as each link performs its role correctly, the ecosystem maintains its natural balance. The Arctic fox keeps this role without causing unnecessary disruptions. The ground is speckled with bloodstains. The grass is flattened, stretching into a trail. There is no sound, only the wind blowing steadily across the lowlands. Further away, the carcass of a large prey lies still. Some patches of meat are still red, the bones not yet crushed. The jackal appears from the forest edge. The smell of meat leads the way. This scavenger species is common in tropical grasslands. Its small body, long legs, and pointed snout help it navigate the terrain. The ears stand upright to pick up movements around the area. They usually operate alone, only pairing up during the breeding season. The jackal doesn't need to chase. Its food source comes from the leftovers of larger hunts. Lions, hyenas, leopards, each species leaves its trace. When the pack retreats, the jackal approaches. It keeps a safe distance, avoiding being attacked. Choosing the right moment is the key to survival. When the carcass is vacant, the jackal takes advantage of every remaining part. The soft meat, tough tendons, and leftover organs, all of it is used. The amount eaten is small, but it's consistent. The scavenging strategy not only saves energy, but it also avoids unnecessary conflicts. The jackal doesn't compete directly with predators. Its role is to follow up, not to snatch. Carcasses left too long on the grasslands will become breeding grounds for bacteria. The scent of decomposition attracts insects, spreading disease over a wide area. When the jackal clears the remains, the decomposition process is slow and steady. Bacteria don't have the chance to proliferate. A strong ecosystem doesn't just rely on predators and prey. The middle ground where carcasses are processed and the direction of disease spread is determined is a crucial part of the system. The jackal plays this role by operating discreetly. The microbial layer lies just beneath the surface. Unchecked decomposition would alter the local microbiome. Species that depend on fungi, mold, and small insects would be affected. That system can collapse when carcasses accumulate continuously. In areas with regular jackal activity, the number of leftover carcasses is low. The decomposition chain proceeds in an orderly fashion. Bacteria are blocked at the early stages. Insects don't proliferate excessively. The decomposition smell doesn't linger, and predators aren't drawn back to the old carcasses. The jackal doesn't hold a high position in the food chain, but it is a crucial connector between the top layers and the ground. Every leftover after a hunt passes through them before reaching the microorganisms. Not every species has the ability to maintain stability without causing disruptions. The jackal does so by choosing the right moment, heading in the right direction, and consuming only the remaining parts. Its ecological role lies in what is left behind. As dusk falls, there are no more fresh bloodstains, only dry bones cleaned of soft tissue. The wind blows through, carrying no scent. Vultures circle overhead, then continue their flight. Below, the jackal has moved on, leaving the ground free of pathogens. The humid tropical forest is covered by a misty haze. A thick layer of decaying leaves blankets the ground with a tangled canopy above. In the twilight zone between light and dark, Each faint sound spreads out, then is swallowed by the forest dust. There are no loud noises, only sharp, intermittent squeaks. This is how a dhole pack calls to each other when beginning their movement. The dhole is a carnivorous species found in South and Southeast Asia, living primarily in scattered, dense forests. Its body structure is sleek and light, with long legs, reddish-brown fur, and round ears. They live in large packs, but they don't move in a concentrated group when hunting. When the hunt begins, the pack splits into smaller groups. Each group follows a different path, taking advantage of slopes, trails, and fallen tree trunks. There are no barks or howls to signal the way. Communication during a hunt is through short, thin sounds delivered at regular intervals. These signals are enough to know each other's position without alerting the prey. When one group veers left along the embankment, the other group has crossed a shallow stream, approaching from the opposite direction. The dhole's hunting strategy relies on splitting, encircling, and isolating its prey. Each group doesn't attack directly. They move evenly, not passing each other, keeping a stable distance to block the prey's escape route. When the prey begins to slow down, the formation closes in. The final movement is when speed and direction are converged to a single point. In dense forests, keeping quiet is a survival advantage. Deer and wild boar are easily reactive to sound. The dhole's silence allows the hunt to proceed undetected in the absence of any alarm signals. It's only when the forest stirs violently that the final sign emerges. Successful hunts don't disturb the ecosystem. On the contrary, the presence of the dhole helps control the populations of low-level herbivores. When the density of deer or wild boar remains stable, the grass under the forest canopy retains its young growth. Ground birds still have their nesting grounds. Young tree roots still have a chance to take hold. If the controlling role disappears, the herbivore population will exceed its limit. They graze the lower layers, trampling young plants and destroying their roots. Birds lose their nesting sites. Insects lose their hiding places. The middle layers of the forest ecosystem begin to decline from that point. The dhole doesn't maintain a fixed territory. They move with the prey, with the seasons, and with the availability of water. But wherever the dhole appear, that area sees young trees growing back faster after the season of heavy grazing. They don't create the green space, but they keep it from disappearing. When the hunt ends, the groups converge beneath the thick tree canopy. No more faint squeaks, no more rustling leaves. Only the ground remains with a few small scratches in an empty space in the grass. It's a sign that the ecosystem here still has a force quietly maintaining its balance. The dingo is a wild carnivore unique to Australia. Its compact body, short fur, and long legs allow it to navigate through cracked, dry land and sparse shrublands. The dingo has been separated from humans for a long time and is not a domesticated species. They live alone or in small groups, typically in semi-arid grassland areas where the grass is low and shrubs are scattered. In the natural food chain, the dingo occupies the mid-high predator level. Its main diet consists of kangaroos, wild rabbits, ground birds, and carrion. They do not need to kill continuously. They can wait for the right opportunity and make use of the remains from previous hunters. However, the dingo's pursuit skills are considered among the most effective of all native species. In regions with extended hot, dry seasons, dingoes are most active early in the morning and late in the evening. When stalking prey, they move low to the ground, staying low and watching the wind and terrain. They do not attack head-on. Instead, they follow, corner, and push the prey toward a disadvantageous direction where escape becomes impossible. In areas with dingoes, the land maintains its structure. Grass roots aren't uprooted, shrubs continue to grow evenly. Ground birds and insects keep their habitats intact. Kangaroos don't exceed their population density. Rabbits are naturally controlled by the presence of this carnivore. The dingo keeps the rabbit population low enough for the plants to recover. Their presence helps maintain the biological rhythm from the roots up to the grass layers. What they do doesn't create new life, but it's enough to protect the underlying structure of the Australian dryland ecosystem. In the forest grassland region of the northeastern United States, a figure quietly parts the leaves, moving decisively but not too heavily. Its brown-gray fur mixed with black streaks, ears upright, and small head. It's not as large as a wolf, nor as slender as a coyote. This is a hybrid individual. It doesn't have a formal species name. In biological records, it's called a coy wolf, a hybrid between a gray wolf and a coyote, sometimes with traces of domestic dog. Interbreeding between species of the same family isn't unusual, but here, the frequency of it has been steadily increasing. The environment is changing. Natural populations are shrinking. Territories overlap. Breeding opportunities are no longer selective. Hybrid individuals are increasingly appearing along urban borders in ecological buffer zones. Each such individual is a behavioral variant. They don't maintain fixed territories. They don't follow a specific pack pattern. They no longer mimic the traditional hunting behaviors of their parent species. The diversity in their genetic structure leads to unpredictable responses to the environment. This is a form of open evolution. The chain reaction begins with the basic prey system. Where the coy wolf is present, the population of ground birds drops abnormally. Wild turkeys retreat to denser areas. Rabbits change their foraging grounds. The predator-prey balance in the mid-layer begins to skew. Medium-sized and small carnivores are forced to redistribute their ranges, creating a previously unseen underground competition chain. Beyond nature, the hybrid also threatens the conservation of pure genes. Each generation born from non-pure pairings is a new round of genetic dispersion. If not controlled, the number of hybrids grows dramatically, creating a new population. At that point, the concept of a pure species becomes a mere label in the books. The living space between nature and human settlements is gradually losing its boundaries. The coy wolf becomes a symbol of species adapting, even if that process distorts a stable ecological coordination system built over thousands of years. Thank you for joining us on this journey with Wild Expeditions, exploring the pieces that keep the rhythm of nature alive. If you believe these stories deserve to be shared, please like the video, share it with those who care about nature, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episodes. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so every wild call is sent out at the right time, in the right place, to those who are ready to listen. We'll see you in the next journey.